Hello and welcome to the CTSI Business Management Conversation, where we, your friends at Creative Technology Solutions, take on an important topic you need to know about for your business and provide our thoughts from the perspective of technology strategy with Tim Pointer, president of CTSI. He functions as our virtual chief information officer for our customers. Also from the perspective of integrations with Zach Evans, who is a certified project management professional and is our integration specialist. And last, with an eye on marketing, that's me, David Grant. I'm CTSI's digital marketing specialist. So that's kind of who we are. How we're addressing these topics, and this conversation we're going to talk about today is something pretty important. Just came out this last week in the news all over the place. If you heard it, outlets were reporting the discovery of a design flaw in most computers, including tablets and our smartphones, cross-platform, all over the place. It's existed for years, and they just kind of have recognized this problem, and the news broke, and I sent out an explanation to our managed service customers, suggesting that you kind of think about your computer in this way. And I'm curious to see what you guys think about this. This picture is your browser, let's say your internet browser like Firefox. It's kind of functioning on your computer as you're browsing the internet, and really it has windows and doors, and how it's supposed to function is all those would be locked, closed, so that it functions in its own space. And with this flaw in the design, basically what was discovered is the door was sitting wide open. So if you had a bad piece of software, some malware on your system, if it just had the instructions to go and look at your browser, it could reach in through that door, pick up whatever you were doing, all of your passwords, all of the data related to that application or any others on your systems, and use that for whatever nefarious reasons that it had in mind. So that was kind of how we explained as we were getting ready to patch that issue for our customers. What do you guys think of that explanation? Anything you would add, or is that off base?
No, I think that was a pretty good explanation. It's just really about opening doors for information that you no longer have the ability to protect or control. And if the wrong person with the wrong motives gets there, they get what they want. And that's what you don't want.
I actually smiled when I read that from you, because the whole idea of integration is breaking down like data silos in a business, right? So marketing communicates with finance, and normally you have to try hard to get those things to work together. And yet the reason why I'm so passionate about the integration and the process is because I do believe that there's always this bigger picture, this more overriding sort of story going on. So when these kinds of things come out, that doesn't necessarily surprise me, right? Because yes, theoretically, hardware should be separate from software. They should be two different houses. And yet, lo and behold, the doors open, and they're a whole lot more connected than anyone thought they were. And so that's the part that kind of intrigues me is, yeah, there really is much more integration between them, even when you don't necessarily want there to be.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that it's beginning to show the close relationship between software like the operating system on a device or a computer and the hardware, that they so integrate together.
Yep.
That a vulnerability like this impacts both.
The whole system.
Yeah, and in fact, the solution to this means both the hardware has to be patched and made current, and the operating system's going to have to be patched. And the applications, even your antivirus and your security software, are going to have to be updated to see the new features in the OS and in the hardware to really be able to protect you now. So you're right. It's like this integration thing is like, it's really tighter than we ever thought.
I think that's what struck me about it too. Is we always think about like malware that's on your device that might release some kind of like a crypto locker kind of thing, or like social engineering to get your passwords or whatever. But seeing that there's this whole other area that you are at risk from, that if this is there, what other vulnerabilities are we going to discover moving forward? So it felt to me like, man, it's really such a multifaceted thing to think about your security for your business, and you can't get locked into, hey, my email's encrypted. It's got to be everything.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe that's a good way to transition into, like, so business owner, what do they need to think about, not just for this, but maybe even a broader view on security?
Yeah. So one of the things that's really critical for any business owner or whoever is in the position of managing your technology is you have to be convinced that there's not a silver bullet for this. It's not just put antivirus on your computer, or like you said, just get encryption on your email. That's not enough anymore. It really calls for we call a multi-vectored security strategy that has multiple angles to protect different things. And it's all of them working together that allow you, hopefully, proactive protection. But let's just face it, sooner or later, it's going to happen. The threats are getting more sophisticated. So it's not a matter of holding your breath and saying it's not going to happen. It's when it happens, then what do you do? That's where it's even beyond the antivirus and things like that. You got to be looking at, do you have backups that you can roll back to quickly? Multi-vector solutions, and we offer that to our clients. All different avenues to protect all different windows and doors that could be open.
Yeah, for the marketing side, I feel like where it makes sense, this can be a marketing opportunity, like particularly for a technology company, or maybe if you have like industry requirements for security reasons or whatever, you can leverage the fact that you're on top of this kind of breach or vulnerability and you're protecting your data. But really, from my perspective, I felt like this is an opportunity to be a little bit, have my eyes open to what's going on from the support perspective, because that's an area that I don't address. But it also makes me really nervous when these kinds of breaches happen, because, first of all, it could very potentially attack the reputation of your company. If your data, your customer data gets out there, nobody's going to trust you anymore. But really, if you don't have that, your house in order in every aspect where you might be vulnerable taken care of, with this kind of risk, I can come in to work one morning and go to turn on my systems and start to get into work to be able to develop my prospects more, and find all of a sudden everything that I had worked for before is all gone. So I think that this kind of risk is something critical. I'm a little less technical than I am less technical than a lot of our team, but maybe a little more so than a lot of marketers. So I do think that it helps me. It made me think, when looking at this from the perspective of the business owner, how critical it is to understand these kinds of threats, because it can impact how much we've invested in growing our business and having to start over with developing those lists and moving prospects into being customers. So I did think it was important to understand. Zach, what did you think kind of from the integration perspective?
Yeah, I just think that the general tendency is for someone to come in and say, well, this is the problem, and just pick out one thing, right, and diagnose whatever is going on with that particular piece. And I think when I hear stuff like this, it just reminds me that the reason why systems and all that gets me so excited is because it is more complex. And so you need to be aware of other elements and how those interplay with each other, because to just pick one thing out is kind of throwing darts at a board, and most likely it's not going to succeed. And so to have experts who have some domain knowledge in different areas, I think really then increases the likelihood of putting the pieces together well, being able to accurately see what is happening, and be able to then actually resolve it at a much more foundational sort of level. So it goes away, and you're not just dealing with symptoms at that point.
That's interesting. So we've got kind of the direction, a larger view of technology, than the expert who can pull all those pieces together and have an eye toward the vulnerabilities and risks, and then there's me just freaking out about everything.
Something like that.
Wraps everything up together. Anything else we need to add or address on this, or just generally speaking, it is something we need to be concerned about?
Yep.
If you haven't had your IT support in whatever form reach out and say, hey, we're going to address this with these patches or whatever, maybe you should be concerned like I am. And of course, we'd always be willing to help with that if that's a need. But don't let it sit, because you are at risk. And So thanks for hanging with us through this conversation. We trust you found something helpful that can help to move your business forward, at least be a little more secure this week. We'd love to have your feedback, receive some topic ideas, things that you'd like to hear us discuss. And you can do that by filling out the form on our website, www.creativetext.biz. Go to the contact page. I'll put the link down at the bottom of this video as well, so you can let us know your thoughts and what you'd like to hear, and look forward to seeing you in future conversations. And, of course, anytime you can reach us from the website and give us a call. Let us know how we can help. So thanks. Have a good day.